This order of President, however, shall not be final. Such order shall, as soon as may be after is to be made, be laid before each Houses of Parliament, and it will be within the competence of Parliament to disapprove of it. The 44th Amendment Act 1978 has further provided that a law or executive order will be shielded under the Article 358 or 359 only if the law in question contained a recital to the effect that it has been made in relation to the proclamation of emergency and the executive order has been issued under such law. Secondly, Article 20 to 21 cannot be suspended by any order under Article 359. As the Constitution stand today, two other matter must be mentioned which limit the operation of the fundamental rights as they were devised in the 1949 Constitution and are not confirmed to times emergency but operate even in normal times. These are the exception of fundamental rights and the fundamental duties. Exception of fundamental rights. Article 31A, 31D introduced by a successive amendment constitutes exceptions to the application of fundamental rights wholly partially of these. Article 31D has subsequently been repealed by the 43rd Amendment Act 1977. The fundamental duties are the 10th, now 11 in number, incorporated in Article 51A of Part 4A, which has been inserted by the 42 Second Amendment Act 1976. Under this article, it shall be duty to every citizen in India to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideal and institutions, the national flag and national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle or freedom, to protect our sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country, to promote the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, to preserve the rich heritages of our composite culture, to protect, improve our national environment, to develop the scientific temper and spirit of inquiry, to safeguard public property, to strive towards the excellence in all sectors of individual and collective activity, who is a parent or a guardian, to provide opportunity for education to this child, or as the case may be barred between the age of 6 and 14 years. Composite culture. In this context, it would be better to remove misnomer of Article 51A. The Supreme Court has now pointed out that the foundation of the composite culture in the Sanskrit language and literature, which is the great binding force for the different peoples of the great country, and it should be preferred in the educational system for the preservation of the heritages apart from the duty of the government under Article 351. The quota. To quote the Supreme Court, though the people of this country differed in number of ways, they all were proud regard themselves as the participants in a common heritage emphatically in the heritage of Sanskrita. The reason is that the original population in India was Hindu. Thereafter, country was subjected to Muslim and British rules. Because the wonderful tolerance Hindu culture imbibed these alien culture and thus grew up in the composite culture in India. Hindu religion developed resilience, accommodated and imbibed with tolerance and cultural richness of religious assimilation and become the land of religious tolerance. Each religion made its contribution to enrich the composite Indian culture as the happy blend or synthesis. Our religious tolerance thus the received reflection in our constitutional creed and enforcement of fundamental duties. Of course, there is no provision in the Constitution for the direct enforcement of any of these duties, nor for any sanction to prevent their violation. But it may be accepted that the determining of the constitutionality of any law, if a court finds that it seeks to give effect any of these duties, it may consider such law to be reasonable. In relation to Article 14 or 19 and thus save such a law from the unconstitutionality, it would also be serve as a warning to reckless citizens against antisocial activities such as the burning of constitution, destroying public property and the like. To Supreme Court has held that since the duty is and obligatory for a citizen, it would follow that the state should also strive to achieve the same goal. The court may therefore issue a suitable direction in these matters. In appropriate cases, the Supreme Court, in order to give effect to the fundamental duties as the inherent under Article 51A G, read with Article 21, 47, 40B, adopted principle of sustainable development as a balancing concept and further held that precautionary principle and polluter pays of principles are the acceptable as the part of the law country and it would be implemented by the law court of law. The Honorable Supreme Court further held that the rules of the customary international law, which are the not contrary to the principal law, shall be deemed to have been incorporated in the domestic law and shall be followed by the court of law. A common thread runs through the part 3rd, 4th and 4th A of the Constitution of India. One part of enumerates of fundamental rights, the second declare the fundamental principle of governance, and the third lay down the fundamental duties of the citizen. While the interpreting any of these provisions, it shall always to be advisable to examine and scope that impact to such interpretation on all these constitutional aspects emerging from these parts. Fundamental duties as defined as Article 51 are not made enforceable by a writ of court just as the fundamental rights are, but it cannot be lost sight of that duty is a part of 4th A Article 51 be prefixed by the some word of fundamental which are prefixed by the founding fathers of Constitution to write in part of 3rd. Every citizen of India is fundamentally obligated to develop a scientific temper and humanism. He is the fundamentally duty bound to strive towards the excellence in all efforts, individual and collective activities, so that the nation constantly rise to higher level of endeavor and achievement state in all the citizens placed together. Hence, through the Article 51, it does not expressly cast any fundamental duty on the state. Fact remains that the duty of every citizen of India in the collective duty of the state.